Oh, nice.
Oh, hey.
Oh, hey, I'm here.
Hello.
Wow. On time.
I am
like
on
right on the
time
dot.
today.
That's incredible.
It's there's a first time for everything.
Welcome to the stand-up.
So I haven't eaten anything all day yet.
That's good. We got all time. It's the stand-up.
Yeah.
We can eat.
No, you cannot.
Why
Hey,
not?
the last time I did stand up, I used to eat like toast and stuff in the mornings. It was great.
That sounds very
It's been
British.
like 7 years ago. Yeah.
We eat toast in America too.
Yes. No. Only we eat toast. Don't you know this? We invented
I
the
had toast
concept
this
of
morning
toast.
No, you didn't, TJ.
and basted eggs.
No, it's lies.
TJ's just trying to fit in. Don't listen to him.
True. Sorry. I've never had toast before. I just wanted to be part of something.
Yep.
Okay, it's okay. Don't worry.
Anyways, sorry. All right. Today on the stand-up, we have with us Jose Valim and Ginger Bill, creators of Elixir and Odin, respectively. Today, the stand-up, which is streamed every day, Wednesday at 11 and Friday at 11 a.m. Montana time. That's the best time, right? We are now, let's see, what is the topic again? Oh, yeah. Why didn't functional programming take off? And we brought on two of the greatest language experts that I could possibly convince to come on to this show to tell us why this did not happen. So obviously, Jose, you probably have a slightly different perspective even on that statement, considering the whole Elixir thing going on and probably the community you're surrounded by makes it feel like functional programming is quite successful. If that is true. But I guess...
Is that implying it's not? I mean,
well, I mean, in the
he
sense,
just
like
won. Hey, he's in top 3 most loved languages, Ron.
Yeah, that's true. NeoVim's #1 most loved editor. It doesn't mean it's popular.
Well, it was popular, though, anyways, but that's fine.
Sorry,
okay.
I couldn't hear you over Ginger Bill typing. What is this, a stand-up, Ginger Bill?
Yes, it is. It's stand up. I was just typing. Sorry, just a friend on Discord. That was all. So just tell him to go away. Right, hands there.
Seats! I got $1 billion idea!
I'm listening.
What if we use state-of-the-art GPT wrappers to monitor live streams for API keys being leaked?
Isn't that a little too niche?
It's pronounced niche. And of course not. According to my lived experience, it's very common to leak API keys. I just need you to set up a database that can handle my scale.
All right. I'll use Neon so it can scale up in case this happens. On the rare chance you don't get any traffic, you'll scale down so it doesn't cost you a fortune.
Oh, we'll need scale. Hey, Teach, you know that site we made about protecting API keys?
Yeah, dude, you were totally right. We did need to have a database that could handle your scale.
People are using that to steal API keys.
Wait, Prime, I didn't notice you were live.
I'm not live.
Yeah. A special deal only for today. For every bit you buy, I'll pay you back 2 bits.
On the plus side, your database is still up.
When traffic spikes, Neon's serverless Postgres auto-scales to meet demands. Without all that extra ops work. Get the free plan at neon.com. Curious, like, why do we have, like, as the mainstream JavaScript is kind of like, seems like #1, why isn't it more of a functional approach?
All right. So I do have some opinions on this. And if you were like, well, there are many thoughts. So the first thing I'm going to say, like, if you were part of the functional programming community or kind of listening involved over the last, decade or even more, very frequently you would hear that functional programming won. Because, for example, Java would get streams, or Java would get lambdas, or languages would bring more type inference, right? A lot of ideas that I'm not going to use the word pioneered, but very popular, very widespread in functional programming cycles for a long time ago, right? And so a lot of the ideas in functional programming, they became mainstream, right? So in that way, I would say that if we look at functional programming as a collection of ideas, as we look at object orientation as a collection of ideas, with time, we look at those things, and then usually we say object orientation. Each person that you ask, you get a completely different definition. Alan Kay, I believe he's the one who came with the word object orientation, and it's like, well, when I said object orientation, I was not thinking about what C++ has. Right, so I think what we did is that we looked at those things, we absorbed a lot of concepts and a lot of ideas from them. Many of those concepts and those ideas, they became mainstream. And then some parts of it did not become as mainstream as everything else, right? So that's one of the things that I think about. Like, well, we got a lot from functional programming. But the other thing that I think about, so I was even mentioning to Ginger Bill, like just before we were chatting a little bit, getting to know each other, that I'm not sure, like the term functional programming, like saying Elixir is a functional programming language, is that quite useful today. It's like, and there is like a technical discussion, a marketing discussion that we can jump into it, but yeah, I think we learned a lot of the lessons that we had to learn. And then if you look at Go or Rust, those are not object-oriented languages, but they don't say they are functional programming languages either. So like we're having those more recent languages that are fine with like, oh, we can say it's systems programming, but C++ is systems programming, but they say object. Like, so there are new languages that are fine, like not necessarily putting a label on them on the side of functional and object-oriented. And that comes back to me like, well, maybe in 2025, Elixir maybe doesn't have to put the label, it is functional as well. And then if we don't put that label, what it is. So I'll shut up for now.
I'm interested to know, because I agree with you. I think a lot of ideas from functional programming are just very mainstream ideas now that lots of people think like, oh yeah, of course every language has whatever that might be. I'd be interested to know from both of you. What?
Saying what ideas? What? Yeah. Well, every language has. Yeah.
No, not every language. That was what I was. That's what I wanted to ask though, because there are some great ones that don't have all the functional tropes inside of them.
Yes.
That's a setup. Yeah, but I was interested to know, like, from each of you, what are some like ideas from functional programming that you're happy are sort of catching like popularity, and some that you are surprised haven't yet. Ginger Bill, you first.
Right. I have to first define what I mean by functional programming, right? Great. That's a hard problem. So again, as Jose was kind of saying, functional programming is not really a very useful term. You could always use the joke definition where like most people think first functional, they go, oh, it's pure functional programming where you must have stateless and no side effects. And the reason why it has never caught on is because when I push a button, that's a side effect. So therefore, functional programming useless, right? That's the joke answer. But the thing is, the functional thing is like, does it mean declarative programming that's like also oriented around like functions? As functions is a first class thing. You can pass functions around all you like, and those functions also may have state associated with, so the closures and such. So is it like, oh, is that what is functional programming fundamentally? And if that's the case, all object-oriented programming languages are functional. Right, because what is a closure? A closure is an object, right? It's got state and an operation. I'm not trying to say that is the case. I'm just kind of saying like this term functional is getting a bit weird. But again, many people just think it's Haskell, and I don't know if some people would agree. But there's a reason why Haskell never took off.
Why?
It is effectively it's effectively a research project at the end of the day. It is mostly a pure functional language, and as the joke kind of suggests, it is kind of difficult if you want to do anything mutating state, and a lot of programs are fundamentally want to do that. And also Haskell is kind of a research project, so has everything in it, including the kitchen sink and your mother's dress, or I don't know, everything in it, and it does too much. So it's really sometimes hard to read it, and the people who enjoy it are usually so high IQ. I'm like, I don't understand anything you've just written. I'm sorry. It's too complicated. So it's kind of, okay, what features do I think are commonplace? Well, I already think closures are everywhere, right? Every single language has got closures. But, and then there's also obviously the immutability aspect, which I don't necessarily think is good or bad. It is, depends on what you're doing, right? But to pass it on to Jose again.
Yeah, so before you said that Erlang is your favorite functional programming language.
Yeah.
So what do you like about Erlang? I think that's a good, and I'm asking it because I would love to see like if the parts that you like, are they what people would classify as a functional part, or, yeah.
There's another way of phrasing this. Erlang is also my favorite OOP language, which is going to sound bizarre. But the reason why I'm saying that is Erlang has clearly got its concurrency model is better described as like CSP, right? You've got processes. CSP, for people who know, is called communication sequential processing. So you have processes, which is just think of as a generalized thread. Green threads is another way of calling them. This is what Go routines are in Go. They're the same thing, right, at the end of the day. And then you communicate them by sending messages across them. So in Go, they have channels. In Erlang, you've got like the send and receive kind of operations. And the same with Elixir as well, don't you? You've got the send functions and then the receive blocks and such. And that kind of aspect there is very, and then everything's immutable by default as well. So when everything is when you're passing all the messages, there is immutability and also memory safety on a per process basis. So this is kind of a very nice way of dealing with things. A lot of other functional languages who are trying to deal with, again, the ideas of concurrency and such, try and do other approaches, and I personally don't like them that much, those kind of models. I do like the CSP style, again, what like Go does. The only problem is it requires a very heavy runtime, and it doesn't really scale if you want to start then doing manual memory management like in Odin. So then you have to think, damn it, I can't have that luxury.
Yeah, so to me, the beautiful thing about Erlang is that, so we are talking about those things about, functional. Well, so if you take a functional programming language, there are a couple of things. Some people are going to say that a type system is kind of a requirement, like having a Hindler-Milner or similar type system is a requirement for being functional. It's a separate discussion. But if you get like the things that make a programming language functional, like immutability, pattern matching, when they were designing Erlang, they didn't start with that. They didn't say, look, we want pattern matching, we want immutability. What they started was, well, we have to build a concurrent, distributed, reliable system. And then they realized that, well, if we have, so for concurrency, we need to have many things running at the same time, processes, right? So you have all those processes, which for those who are not familiar, when we say process in Erlang is lightweight threads of executions like Go routines, right? So we have millions of those all running at the same time. And then they realize that, well, if those things, they have shared state, if one of them break down, maybe it broke down, maybe something went wrong while it was mutating this shared state, which means that now you have polluted state in your system, and which may break all the other processes. So they were like, well, shared state in this case is going to get in the way of building a fault-tolerant system, because if you have a failure, you can no longer trust that shared state, right? So it's one of the things that keep going back like to discussions with the Erlang team. Like people are like, oh, were you trying to do like functional? Like, no, they're like, no, we wanted to build a resilient, robust system. And it just turned out that for the kind of system we wanted to build, immutability was really essential. And that's why it's immutable. And people, and for me, like I had the opposite kind of introduction where I wanted to build concurrent software, and I was doing Ruby, running into a lot of mutability issues. And then I learned functional programming, and then I was like, oh, immutability. So for me, the thing that defines functional programming is immutability. That's my interpretation, right? That's because that's what attracted me. right? And then I ended up with Erlang, but they did not add immutability to be functional. So I think those discussions are very interesting.
So could an object-oriented style language like old Java, if it just was immutable, like everything you passed around was copied wholesale, would that be considered functional then?
Well, so okay, a couple things. Did you know? I'm going to regret saying this. The first version of Elixir, which is on GitHub, was actually object-oriented. I was trying to build, I was coming from this object-oriented world, well, what if I can have all those things? It was not good for many reasons, right? But to your question, to me, it's like